Wow, it's been such a good celebration this morning that I forgot to be nervous. Good morning. My name is Martha Hoggard, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about my experience with giving. It's that time of year again when we talk about stewardship. And as Susan said last week, we talk about that dreaded word, giving. When I was growing up, my experience with the annual church finance campaign was frightening. Several men from the church finance committee would come to our house and sit in our living room asking my parents some very pointed questions about what their level of giving would be for the next year. There was always at least two of them, and they were dressed in their best Sunday suits, white shirts, and ties. Now, my daddy was a working class mechanic, and I don't even know if he owned a suit or not. So the contrast between those men coming to our house and my family was astounding. This annual campaign was always a very scary time for me. I used to hide in the hallway just out of sight, but still able to hear what was being said. It was scary because I just knew that our family was on the verge of being outed for not being very good Christians. And since the topic was money and we didn't have any, I was sure those men had come to scold my daddy and to chastise him for not going to church more often. My childhood experience with the church was lacking in the meaning and understanding of stewardship. I was raised in the Presbyterian church. My grandparents were staunch Presbyterians. They were members of a very strict sect that, as a matter of fact, they were so strict that anyone who was about to marry someone of their faith had to meet with the pastor prior to their marriage and vow to join their church and to raise their children in the Presbyterian faith. My grandmother had to make those vows when she married my granddaddy, and my daddy had to make those vows when he married my mother. And what do you say was so scary about those churchmen coming to our home? You see, my daddy was an Easter and Christmas kind of Christian. He always went to church with us on Easter, but Christmas was kind of iffy. Maybe yes, maybe no. I guess if Christmas had always been on a Sunday, he would have been a reliable Christian. Now, my daddy was a very loving man and a very giving man, but he just didn't go to church much. Anyway, when those men came to our house once a year to solicit a pledge, I thought they were there because we had been found out and they were there to chastise my daddy and cause him a whole lot of trouble. When they finally left our house, I breathed a sigh of relief, and when the church police didn't show up afterwards to take my daddy away, I was immensely relieved. And that was the extent of my knowledge of what it meant to give to the church or to be a part of a church. Now, fast forward about 35 years to the time when I was married and I had my own family. After my husband, Eric, was discharged from the Navy and he finished his college degree at OU, we bought a house and started looking for a church home in the neighborhood. We found a small United Methodist church that we loved. We loved the people, the fellowship, their ideology, the pastor. We just loved everything about it, so we joined. For the first year or two that we were members, we put a check in the offering plate once a week and didn't give much thought to the meaning of stewardship. However, as time passed and we began to learn more about the true meaning of stewardship, we started to become uncomfortable with our level of giving. We thought we should definitely do more, but we just couldn't see ourselves being able to give more financially. By that time, we were thoroughly immersed in the life of the church. We were there just about every time the doors opened. We chaired some committees, and we served on other committees. Then one year when the annual finance campaign came around, Eric and I began to discuss in earnest what our level of giving and commitment should be. We felt that we should step up to tithing, but we had grave doubts about whether or not we could do it. We discussed it and prayed for guidance and then discussed it some more. And finally, after agonizing over the decision for a couple of weeks, we decided to jump off the deep end and commit ourselves. So we signed our pledge card for 10% of our income and placed it in the offering plate. I remember having a sinking feeling as I saw the offering plate being picked up and disappearing down the hall toward the church office. Too late now, I thought, it's done. However, that didn't keep me from worrying about being able to pay our bills and still meet our church commitment. But, as time went on, we seemed to be doing okay financially. Every month I worried. You know how the saying goes about worrying about how much month there would be at the end of the money. Well, that's what I worried about. And every month we somehow had enough. And it was that way month after month after month. Somehow there was enough. By the grace of God, there was enough. That year I learned a whole lot about stewardship, the giving of our time, our talents, our service, and our gifts. But most of all, I learned a lot about how God cares for us always. I also learned a lot about my faith, which was as tiny as a mustard seed. The Bible also has something to say about people like me with the faith as small as a mustard seed. Finally, this brings me to the Bible verse that says, "O ye of little faith." That verse is from Luke chapter 12, verse 28, and it reads, "If this is how God clothes the wild grass, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you, you people of little faith?" My faith is growing and still not much bigger than a mustard seed. But God is still here, and she is still big, bigger than any of us can imagine. And she is caring for us and giving all of us what we need, even when we don't think it's possible. I love this church, Mosaic. For various reasons, my husband and I had been out of church 25 years when I finally found Mosaic, and I immediately felt like it was my church home, and I would like to support it with my prayers, my presence, my gifts, and my service. Thank you.
I know we're kind of ready to go home, but I want to ask Jim to come up. And as he does so, I want to just remind you that Amy Oden's spouse, Perry Williams, his celebration of his life will be this afternoon at 2 p.m. at the chapel on the campus of Oklahoma City University. Amy is a member of our church. Perry was a clergy person last serving at Village United Methodist Church before he became ill and then could no longer serve a church. Our service for Calvin will be next Saturday at noon right here at Mosaic. And I want to encourage you to pick, if you did not pick up a bulletin, that you would pick one up, because there's other important announcements in there about things that are coming up. One thing I forgot to do was pass around a sign-up sheet for our annual Thanksgiving meal. So this is actually in 2 weeks. And I don't know if we're going to get a small crowd or a medium-sized crowd or a large crowd. Our intention is to have it potluck style outside. And we know the weather may not cooperate. So I'm going to go ahead and have this at the back. So if you want to sign up today to bring something to eat, you can sign up. And then next week I will sort of tell you what our contingency plans are in case the weather's bad and we can't eat outside. All right? Jim has a quick announcement for us.
In your bulletin, you will see a notice about All Together Now, which is a musical review that will be this Saturday evening and Sunday afternoon at Wesley United Methodist Church on North Classen. This is being sponsored by the Human Community Network and Wesley Church to bring into being a new children's musical theater. And it will be on Saturday evening at 6:30. Tickets are available for a dinner show. You can purchase a ticket for $40, and it will provide you a good meal and the evening's entertainment. Also, on Sunday afternoon, there will be a matinee at 2:30 for $25. And there will also be a time between noon, after we're through with worship here, and the 2:30 performance of a community gathering on the parking lot at Wesley, where food trucks will be available, art and music for you to enjoy. So this is a very valuable initial effort to bring into being this children's theater for our community, our human community. If you have questions, check my Facebook page. There's a notice there with this information, and you can also go to the link that is on the ad in your bulletin for more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Mosaic, what a wonderful time of worship and service today. If you will please stand in mind, body, or spirit, and join me in our benediction. And as we leave, if you are a first-time visitor, we'll be in the back with a gift for you. And you might have to watch some words on the screen as we sing a different exit song, but you've heard it a couple of times today. Please join me in the benediction. This is our church.
We make it what it is.
Others will feel welcomed.
If I am welcoming.
It will do a great work.
If I work.
It will make generous gifts to many causes.
If I am a generous giver of my time, talents, and treasure.
It will be a sanctuary for social justice and peace.
If I advocate for marginalized communities and practice peace in every setting of my life.
Therefore, we shall welcome all to experience the radical love of God, as together we create a beautiful community of justice, compassion, and faith.
And we shall dedicate ourselves to being all the things we want our church to be.
Sing it loud.
Looking for a city